Gindo Gibet, thank you so much for joining us tonight on Talking Point. You are welcome.
Thank you, Mami. Thanks once again for being here to talk about sensitive issues, especially concerning the 20th May celebration, which is the feast of unity at the moment when the country is at the brink of unity breakdown. Thank you.
Thank you so much for coming. You talked about sensitive issues. Before we talk about the May 20th celebration, the theme and the significance of the celebration, we would like to get your reaction following this outing of the Minister of Defense, following the video that actually went viral on social media. The Defense Ministry that has stated that the suspected Ambazonian leader was simply apprehended, and that the soldiers that could be seen brutalizing him in the video that took many by shock would be brought to book. What do you have to say about that?
What is clear about that video is that there are two things that must be clear. Social media videos are something that can no longer be doubted because they are taken from the scene. So we can't doubt that. We can doubt information that's written and posted on social media. But when it comes to social media videos, they are what are filmed and sent for people to view. That's the first thing. Secondly, I know that the Minister of Defense, the Minister Delegate in the Presidency in charge of Defense, must have been touched by that video himself, like all other Cameroonians. Every Cameroonian who knows actually what the defense force, the military precisely is supposed to do, supposed to be act in a republican way, is no longer observing the rules under which it's supposed to act. I want to think that that video has held every Cameroonian who has had to see it, or had to see it, in a way that if you do not have that emotion, you don't have the heart to actually watch it, you wouldn't be able to see it through, because it portrays the military. I'm happy you said purported, supposed to be, believed to be, which means that the person in question may not as well as he can be. So what if he is? Is that the procedure? What if he is not? Is that the procedure? These are the questions that are supposed to be asked around what the army did. Why will somebody who is supposed to be, where the facts are not yet established, be caught and maltreated so inhumanely, so primitively? Permit the word, but that is the way it happened. I want to believe that the army is believing it. Military issues are not even things that are supposed to be reported anyhow, because they are very sensitive. They have to do with defense, and so they are supposed to be very sensitive. Any person works his or her mouth to talk about military issues in any way doesn't know what he's doing, because they're secretive issues. They do with the defense of the nation. But when the military that is supposed to be Republican acts that way, it calls for concern. It invites thought. It invites commentary. It invites everything that can be said around it. I think that the Minister of Defense should not only limit at the level of saying that those who did that are supposed to be accountable. Let it be done, and done specifically. Let it be done and done publicly, in a way that the whole nation. What are we talking about here? Is that what living together is all about? Is that what we are preaching in this nation? Somebody who is suspected is tortured more than before the 19th century, when slaves were treated in the West Indies, treated in the territories where they were captured, treated across the Atlantic Ocean, pushed into the mouths of sharks in the ocean. That torture was above that. Which calls for concern.
The outing of the Defense Ministry is an indication that even the ministry which is in charge, which controls those armies that were perpetrating the act, is totally against what actually happened in Manfi.
Well, what we can say there is that I do not think, at my level, every Cameroonian has the right to comment on the action of the army in that part of the nation any way he likes. But as an individual, I want to feel that the action of the army is getting extremely ultra-virus. Ultra-virus in the sense that when we look at, if you evaluate the rate of deaths in the Anglophone area of Cameroon, you will find out that you will be clear. Statistics are there on the table, verifiable, confirmed that those who suffer more are innocent civilians. And when we talk of these civilians, who are they? Old mothers, old fathers, children at dependency ages. Tell me, what can an old man of 50 and above carry a gun to do? What can an old woman of 50 above carry a gun to do? They go out burning their houses when the children who are the fighting level had already evacuated the villages.
Should it just end
what do we think
at the level,
can be done again? Should
it just end only at the level of criticizing the video when we have other atrocities being committed on the ground, like you have been stating?
That is why I am saying that the minister, if the minister thinks that what has been done by army is not supposed to be done, let him act as the minister. He is this authority of that service in this nation. Let him call those who perpetrated the act to order, to justice, and let justice take its course and let it be known by the whole nation. At least it will appease some people somewhere in this nation who can contribute very anonymously to the relaxation of tension that has gripped this country.
Of course.
Some people will be appeased. I am sure that somebody somewhere will be appeased. If those guys who I saw throwing water in legs and beating, I mean, the life of a human being was no longer sacrosanct, what it is supposed to be, what the constitution of this country is supposed to protect. That was thrown into the dogs. Human beings were thrown like in the ancient USSR kingdom, state, where human beings were, their feathers could be pulled off and water thrown on them like fowls. I mean, what I saw was a fowl, not a human being.
That was a general reaction, Mr. Ngindo Gibbon. Now, we talk about the National Unity Day. That is, preparations are upbeat across the national territory ahead of May 20th. That is going to be taking place, so holding under the theme, Cameroonian citizens, let us remain united in diversity and preserve social peace for stable, indivisible, and a prosperous Cameroon. What is the perception of social peace, Mr. Ngindo Gibbon?
I wonder when any person in Cameroon now, no matter who the person is, I don't care if the person is the head of state or who, talks about living together again, when the arms of government have been structurally linked to one man alone. When you look at the arms of government in this country that are supposed to be independent from each other in order to ensure the social justice, in order to appease all Cameroonians feel belonging, in order to ensure the corporate credibility of all the ethnic groups of this country, despite which angle they are coming from. When you look at the legislature that is closer to the executive is structurally linked to power. The judiciary is structurally linked to power. The army that is an arm of defense, although is which is an arm under the judiciary, is structurally linked to power. The whole thing now gives a fictive picture of democracy, which no longer appeases any person. What kind of living together are we talking about? The whole country, Cameroon, is now ruled under special instructions by the President of the Republic. I wonder if there is a constitution in this country. That's, to be very honest, because when you find every reform or everything that is done, economic, social, political, cultural,
it's linked to
you will hear that the President are giving instructions. The President, as if it is a country that is ruled by a king. It is a kingdom. It was a monarchical, there were monarchical regimes before the 19th century in Europe, precisely where the king instructed, I have the impression we're living in Cameroon like that now, where the head of state instructs, There is nothing that is done in Cameroon now according to the constitution of the country.
Are you saying that the day is not worth celebrating, May 20th?
No, the day is worth celebrating, but what are we celebrating the day for? Let me ask a question to all Cameroonians, not only to you. The question I'm asking all Cameroonians is the team that has been worked out now. Who worked out the team? Where from the person? From where was the person working out the team? And what parameters has the person put in place so that the team not only be celebrated, be implemented? These are the questions I want Cameroonians should answer before we go marching on, we go celebrating, we go whining and dining in the presidency. These are the problems. If we want to live together, are we thinking of what is going on in the part of the country? Sometimes I wonder if most Cameroonians have been asking this question, not I alone. I move around all around in this country, and there is this question. Many people are thinking that only the English regions have the problem. Are we sure Boko Haram has ended? Are we sure the problems in East Africa have ended? Are we sure that the economic problems, the debt, and everything that this problem this country has, are they resolved? When are we estimating that they are supposed to be? To whose detriment are these problems are supposed to be resolved? These are some of the questions until this country answers this question, we cannot be talking of living together when there are so many things that if they must be resolved, somebody's leg has to be smashed upon.
Like some observers hold that May 20th, especially that of 2018, should be that time for an opportunity for reflection. Especially on the current socio-political crisis in the northwest and the southwest regions of the country. Why not bring all the actors on the table and seek a way forward as far as the crisis is concerned? Do you share a similar view?
Until the time comes, because believe me, on the 20th we are 5 days now. Unity, we are 5 days now to
something
the 20th
can happen between
May.
now.
No, Mimi, we are in sub-Sahara Africa, where very soon you will see the president inviting his invited guests from somewhere to come and wine and dine with him. You will see regional governors inviting
would that be the dialogue that people are talking, inclusive dialogue?
If that is the way they want dialogue to be, so be it. But I wonder if it has any productivity. That's the problem. If whining and dining with state dignitaries, those that are pro him, are prone to his ways and want to continue that whining and dining with him. Well, but one thing is very clear, that if the toe is paining and the head hasn't yet felt it, there is time, because the veins will gradually carry it to the head. I know this. If some people somewhere in this country feel that what is happening in the English zone is not affecting them, gradually it is going to affect them someday, because if they really feel, if they are sincere that this nation is one and indivisible, like it is pronounced every day, it is the mouths are worked from everywhere, by every government ministers are good at saying that. I heard some of them during morning calling saying that, calling people idiots and calling everybody any kind of thing. Let's be careful the way we say things, because after the crisis, there are people who will be judged. And those people who will be judged will not be only those that are categorized as secessionists. Everybody will judge looking at his country.
What is the historical significance of May 20th, before we go?
The significance of May 20th in this country is an event that is irregrettable, because when you look at what happened before the country came together under the unitarian system of government, it is regrettable. A one-sided referendum, a one-sided question that was posed to Cameroonians to make them feel that where you are voting we, it is no. Where you are voting we, it is no. Where you are voting yes, it is yes, was sent to Cameroonians. Well then, if and only if after the referendum, the two cultures that came together, what I just said in the United Nations, I quote him, if our English brothers feel like joining us, they are doing that on equal footing, end of quote. If the equal footing was maintained after his one-sided referendum, which he pumped in money and ST Mona used to flash points at West Cameroon to get West Cameroonians vote for that. If the two cultures were maintained, if the good footing, if the equal footing was maintained in Cameroon, we would have been crying today. We would have been happy people today. The problem is that some people were caught and they were submerged, they were swallowed, and they were it was believed like some people need to kneel down for others, and that is where
the government is going to argue that many English-speaking Cameroonians are not demanding for separation.
That is the government. What do you expect?
Why not organize another referendum? Is it a possibility, Mr. Ngindo Gilbert, before we go?
Let the government test Cameroonians. Let the government test English Cameroonians and see if Only some people are that. I want to feel that the marginalization got to the level where it became unbearable to every least Cameroonian, every children in primary school. History is taught down to primary school. When you teach them, you see the way they feel. When you teach them up to any level, you see the way they feel. The government should mend its ways, because there is no way, I repeat, there is no way the history of this country will not be taught to Cameroonians. And when you teach the history of this country to Cameroonians objectively, you tell them actually what happened, they feel it. This problem will live forever, and if the government doesn't take concrete steps to redress it, this problem will one day materialize into what living together will no longer be what we are talking with mouth now. It is going to metamorphose to something else that even Cameroonians themselves will no longer be able to handle it, because you cannot imagine that people will be saying living together. We live together, but when you look at the disparity between an Anglophone and a Francophone, just from psychological reasoning, at one side you see somebody who is very docile and is ready to accept any kind of thing, and at one side you see somebody who is ready to question why I'm doing this. At one side you see another person who is trained to fear, and another one who is trained to respect and be humble. I mean, the characteristics are so different. The characteristics are,
and they
so
should be respected at every level.
I mean, the differences are too there that if we must live together, the differences have to be harmonized somewhere, and no one has to be submerged. No one has to be submerged. Let's be clear about it.
Thank you so much, Mr. Yindo Gibe, for joining us tonight.